Hi, my name is Monica Maralit, and I am the Senior Vice President for PSG Global Solutions and also the President of Find HR. Both of the companies do recruiting solutions all around the world and also here in the U.S. I am also the President and Founder of the Victoria Heartstrong organization, which I started last year, and it happens to be an organization for underprivileged young women, and we support them financially and through a holistic program to make sure that these underprivileged young women in high school and college continue their education so that they can, continue to support their communities as well as our nation. Amen? All right, so we're going to be a little bit more energetic today. I need everybody to stand up. Stand up. All right. How do you guys feel today? Pretty good? Yes. Pretty amazing? All right, I need you to prove it, okay? If you guys have seen me speak before, who's seen me speak before? All right, just the people from my company. All right. So, all right, what I need you guys to do is clap twice and say amazing. So that did not sound amazing, okay? That was not amazing. That's not how you feel this morning, okay? We needed to do really loud, like you're really amazing, okay? 1, 2, 3, clap, clap. Amazing. All right, first of all, there's another way to do this. You go clap, clap, spread one leg to the back, like this, so you have that nice line when you lift up your hand. If you were a cheerleader, a dancer, or a stripper, you know what this means. All right, okay, clap, clap, amazing. Then you throw your head back, okay? 1, 2, 3, go. Amazing. You guys did, sit down. All right, everybody, look to the person on your right and say, good morning, I'm glad you're here. Look to the person to your left and say, you are beautiful. All right, so today, do you guys feel good? And that's what it's all about, okay? What we want to do is make sure that our employees feel good. And one way to do that is to make sure that we include them. But this is what I'm going to talk about: diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right? And really, like they've spoken before, if your employees feel good, they feel safe, they're going to be a lot more productive, they're going to have better results, right? Okay, inclusive leadership, but how do you start? Who has DEI programs in their company? DEI programs, yeah, almost everybody has a DEI program. But what you want to do is make sure that it's not just a program, because you can get funded for programs, right? You get a budget every year so that you can continue a program. The key to DEI and having it in your company is that it's a part of your culture. It's not just a program, but it's a part of the culture. And you integrate that into the policies and procedures so that it doesn't need to be funded because it's already part of your corporate culture, all right? So the things that we're gonna be talking about here, just take a quick look. Diversity is a fact, but inclusion is a choice. It's a fact that everybody in their companies have generally a diverse situation out in the world. Everybody's diverse, but it is a choice to have them included as part of the company and to include them into your teams. So a couple of things that we'll go through today: inclusive leadership core principles, making sure that we are open. So being open just doesn't mean you just listen and let's listen to what everybody has to say. Let me just be open with everything that everyone has to say or do, but it's actually welcoming. So the key word here is welcoming diverse perspectives. You actually welcome it into the organization, into your teams. Empathy, everybody knows what empathy is. People say that it's putting yourself in other people's shoes, right? But that's not the only thing. You don't just put yourself in other people's shoes so that you can understand the way they feel, but you actually value how they feel. You value their viewpoints, and you're actively listening. You actively listen not so that you can respond, but so that you can understand. The other one is equity. Everyone knows this too, fair treatment. But equity and equality are two different things, right? Slightly different. Equity is making sure that everyone has an opportunity, whatever situation they have. So they could be a little bit more disadvantaged than others. You make sure that they have a fair chance at something else, a promotion, a new project, or something like that. And then collaboration. So think of these things in terms of core principles as we go through inclusive leadership, because it all starts with us as leaders. Somebody say amen. All right. So first, implementing inclusive leadership includes building self-awareness. Am I in the way? Building self-awareness, recognizing these biases and committing to growth. The first thing to do is to look at yourself. What are your biases? What are my biases? Everyone has biases, right? It's okay to have biases, all right? It's just another way that your mind is putting things together, because we don't know everything. We don't understand everything there is in the world. We have certain data points. And when we don't understand something, we try to connect these data points, and that turns into some biases. So when you are not very open to this, then that's where your bias is. If you looked at this photo, what's your first thought? Would I hire this person? You know, when you see somebody, you see two guys walking down the street holding hands, being sweet, what do you think? What is your first thought? And it's okay, that's all right. Why do I have a pregnant woman up there? One of the things that have come up very often that I see is there are times when women will apply to a company, but they won't say that they're pregnant. Why is that? Because they think they're not going to be hired, right? And there's a reason why they think that. Because some people have not hired pregnant women. So they tell them, don't tell them you're pregnant because they won't hire you. So when you think about the things that you're doing in the company, whether it's assigning a big project, for example, if you're assigning a huge project that's going to last a year and you have a pregnant woman that's in your team, do you say, let's not give it to her because she's going to go on maternity leave, and then we have to turn this over and it's going to be a big deal? That's a bias. Right? That's a bias. So we want to move that from them and make sure that we are committed to giving people the opportunity to develop. But first starts with us, building the self-awareness that you do have a bias that you do have to address. And it does take it takes time to be able to learn. So you have to be committed to be able to learn about others. Another thing is creating inclusive environments. Open communication. And as leaders, do you promote communication and collaboration? Somebody give me, we have some gifts, don't we? We have a couple of gifts, and we're going to give out a couple of shirts, Victoria Heartstrong Organization shirts. If you guys can give me one way that you encourage open communication and collaboration. Anyone? These shirts are beautiful. Yes.
I'm from Fidelity, and we have this people program called Fidelity Speaks.
Wonderful.
Over coffee or over lunch, and we encourage them to suggest, and sometimes it's also a small group discussion pertaining to particular topics.
Wonderful, yes. So you're getting different people from different groups. So this is exactly what I'm saying, cross-functional teamwork, or cross-functional teams to get them together, because there's a lot of times when we're in our own team, we have the same type of people, right? Everybody in HR is generally kind of the same, but you put them against somebody who's in IT, they're totally different, right? We had a team building one time, and half the team was HR, and the other half was business analytics. And during the session, there was a time when there was a sharing part, and all of the HR people were like, oh my God, I love you, I appreciate you. And they were crying and everything, and they were just pouring out their hearts. And the business intelligence or business analytics were like, what the heck is going on? Why are they so emotional? But it's just because they're a different perspective. So getting them together and learning about different perspectives is one way also to encourage open communication. Another one is supporting diverse talent. Somebody give me an example. Do you guys support diverse talent? Do you know what diverse talent means? Anybody? We got more shirts. Don't worry. She can tell you it's beautiful. Has a little heart. It is. It says Victoria Heartstrong Organization on the back. Anybody? Can you tell me what diverse talent means to you? You look like you're about to say something. Tell me, what do you think diverse talent means? Hi.
Hi, my name is Arnel. I'm the head of HR for PepsiCo Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore. Very nice to meet all of you. So for PepsiCo, we define diversity as a community of employees who may not have as big of a representation from the other groups that we have. So for example, if we look at Latinos in PepsiCo. We have that community. We also have a support group for women.
Yep.
And we also have a support group for LGBTQ plus members of the community.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause. Nice t-shirt there. Yes, diverse talent means just from all different walks of life. It also could be, different ages. What I loved is that Carmi said her age, and I'm really big on it too. I'm almost 50, and so I want to be able to, thank you. You look shocked. Thank you so much. Give her a shirt. Thank you so much. Just for looking shocked. I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in about 6 months. And one of the things that I encourage is everybody tells their age. You know why? Because the ages look different. 30 years ago, 50 looked different, right? Because they didn't take care of themselves. They can smoke in the planes. They can do all sorts of stuff. They were doing cocaine in the 80s. But, today we are doing a little bit more to keep ourselves healthy, right? And we also don't want to ostracize or kind of, assume that older people can't do things. So when you have a new technology or a new app, who do you think of first to go to? The young people, right? But it could also be maybe not so much the young people, right? And we have to be open to the wisdom that some people have who are a little bit more mature, a little bit more experienced in the organization, and also still be able to value those who are also younger. So here's to telling our age. Anybody else over 50? Thank you. Thank you so much. You'd be proud. You'd be proud of your age. All right. So make sure that that's one thing that you also do. One more thing that I wanted to say that, I'll be honest with you, I came from, how do I call it, a background where I had a little bit more privilege. And so I'm very lucky, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. My mom and dad worked very hard to give my brother and sisters, and my brother and sister and I, a very good education, a very good upbringing. But I will tell you, I was probably a little bit sheltered. So I grew up in the States. I moved to Bangkok, Thailand. I went here also, all private schools, all a little bit privileged. When I started the Victoria Heartstrong organization, I was really focused on underprivileged girls because I saw that there was a need to make sure that they continued their education, because there was only one way for them to be able to get out of that situation, and it was through education. And that's what I saw as well. But when I spoke to them, and I'll be honest with you, you generally hire people who are similar to you. That's your first bias, is to think, let me hire somebody who's similar to me. But as I spoke to these girls, I realized that they have so much more potential, and they have such a different way of thinking that I could learn from as well. And even though I had all sorts of great education and blah, 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 Ateneo, blah, I'm proud of Ateneo, that's not what I meant. But I really learned that you could learn so much more from them as well. So bringing that diverse talent, whether it's age, background, culture, whatever it is, will really enrich your overall organization. And being very open to them also will make everybody feel like they are welcome and included. So I want to give you a couple of case studies. One of them is from Teleperformance. One, I can't remember what year, I don't remember what year, but it happens to be, look at all the Teleperformance people taking a picture. They decided that they were going to try deaf people in the call centers. And you're thinking, well, what the heck can the deaf people do? Well, they did chat. But the problem was that nobody else could sign. So they had these few deaf people who were part of the organization. They didn't know how to coach them. They didn't know how to train them because nobody else could sign. But they said, hey, let's try it. Let's do it. We're gonna try to make this work. Took a long time to do. They did a lot of writing down, trying to explain how to do things. And it still really wasn't great. The performance from the deaf was not any better than those who could speak. So it wasn't better, and there was a lot more effort. So they were thinking, is this still something that we want to do? Because there's a high effort and there's a low yield. And they said, no, we're going to make this work. We want to be able to give an opportunity to the deaf to be able to work here at Teleperformance. So they continued on. They learned sign. So there were a bunch of managers that learned sign and were able to really get this team to work. So these few people did so well. They eventually did really, really well, that the account or the client said, you know what, you're doing awesome. We want 30 more people from this profile. So Netflix got 30 more deaf people to be a part of this program. And that not only showed, one, diversity, their commitment to diversity, but it turned into actual dollars, because Netflix was paying for this, and they were bringing real value. So it's not just a warm and fuzzy feeling, but it actually turned into something that was profitable for the company. Another great one is Ayala. They are probably one of the great ones that come out with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. But they were very accountable to the things that they wanted to achieve. And the things that they wanted to achieve, they put into numbers. So they said, we want more women in the executive team, and we want more women in the board of directors. So they made sure that that's what they strived for. In 2018, they had about 25% of their executive team were women. Last year, they're now up to 43% women executives in Ayala, and their goal is 50. They are almost there because they're that committed. The board of directors right now is which are almost all men. You can barely say it was like 1% women. It's now 35% women. So just by having women in their executive team, as well as other diverse backgrounds, they're able to be more agile when it comes to decision making. They have a more well-rounded decision making, and they're a lot more profitable this way. Yay, women! All right. But here's one of a case study of a lack of inclusive leadership. Everyone know Uber? We know what Uber is. They're not here anymore, but we know who they are. They're obviously the ride-share, car ride-share, transportation, really great. They still make a lot of money, but in 2017, one engineer, a woman who eventually blew the whistle on discrimination, and she went out and she was very vocal about the discrimination that she was feeling in the company, which opened up more cases and eventually the Holder investigation. And the Holder investigation eventually turned into a document that required Uber to change 43 of their policies and procedures, and they fired 20 of their executive staff because of the lack of inclusivity. The following year, they had to pay out $7 million in cases against them, just so that they would be able to make sure that people felt safe. But even today, even with all of that, they still make a lot of money, but in terms of a reputation, that's what they're holding on to. So there's real dollars lost if you lack inclusivity, and there's real dollars gained if you do have inclusivity. So it's not just a warm and fuzzy feeling, but it actually turns into real profit. It also turns into real productivity and real results if you are able to make sure that your employees feel like they belong. So your call to action, embrace diversity. Everybody say it, embrace diversity. Embrace diversity. Lead with empathy. Commit to growth. And be accountable. All right, I need somebody to volunteer again. Tell me one thing that you would do in order to commit to growth in DEI for yourself. Anybody? We still got shirts. Isn't it beautiful? You feel that it's beautiful? Yes, you do. Okay, one volunteer, commit to growth. Any action plan that you might feel that would be helpful. You look like you would like to say something. Thank you so much for volunteering. What would you like to say? Oh, you.
Okay. So the call to action for us is to implement inclusivity within our organization by setting in place a number of people to be able to promote this kind of inclusivity by promoting or having employee engagement that will help each one of the employees to show their own talents, their own different set of skills within the organization.
Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. All right, everybody raise your right hand. This is my right hand. Your right hand, put it on the person next to you and say, I commit to growth. Everybody raise your left hand, put it next to the person next to you and say, I will help you keep that commitment. All right. right. That's our promise. So thank you all so much. I just want to give you one last thing to look at here. One of the things that I'm very into is women empowerment and also women's issues. So I decided to write a book called Becoming Sheroes. I got together about 14 other women, so there's 15 authors here, including Rebecca. She's also one of the authors. They've written their stories of challenges, their victories, the challenge, their resilience as well, and they have great stories. So if you guys are interested to buy one of these books, they're all outside. It's great also to give your employees for your women's empowerment groups or for anything that you guys might be interested in. Thank you so much.